Live from our headquarters in South Africa.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban, and welcome back to the Iftar Drive. Of course, beautiful and nasheed in the background there. Durood and salutation upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned that that person that has that says a lot of durood and salutations upon him on the day of Qiyamah, he's going to be aqrabun nasi ilayya, the closest to me. Wouldn't we want to be close to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the day of Qiyamah? And it's not just about the recitation of durood and salutation; it's about the to have love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and having love for him means having love for his sunnah. And we learn from the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam various aspects of our lives. And of course, this month of Ramadan, let us do our best to revive a sunnah every day of the week, every day of the month. Let us try and encourage ourselves and challenge ourselves really to revive sunnah in our lives. And with more sunnah, there's more blessing in your life, inshallah, and there'll be less problems. And of course, inshallah, you'll be more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam on the day of Qiyamah. Just bringing our time to 2 minutes after 5. We cross now to our Palestine Ramadan radio segment, and joining me now is Farid Taamallah. Farid Taamallah is a Palestinian journalist based in Qira, and he's going to talk to us about the mainstay of the Palestinian economy, which is agriculture. Agriculture in Palestine employs about 90% of the workforce, and of course, it constitutes Palestine's most of Palestine's export earnings. But the occupation has made it very difficult for the farming to continue, unabated. And Farid joins me now. Farid, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. My best regards to my brothers and sisters and the comrades in South Africa.
Amin ya Rab. And kull amin wa antum bi khair, inshallah. We congratulate you, your family, and everybody in your community for the month of Ramadan.
Kull aam wa antum bi khair, wa I hope that you have an easy Ramadan. In Palestine, now it's spring, so I think in South Africa it is fall, but Ramadan is okay.
Yes, so far it's been very easy. We've had a lot of rain. We've had very cool days. So the first 10 days of Ramadan, rahmah, rahmatullah. So too much rain, too much rahmah, very easy, alhamdulillah.
Exactly. It is rahmah, and I hope that rahmah will prevail for all the people, the humans around the globe.
Ameen ya Rab. Farid, we're talking to you now about the Palestinian agriculture. I was telling my listeners before I introduced you that agriculture is the mainstay of the Palestinian economy. Perhaps if you could begin by just giving us a background with regards agriculture in Palestine in the light of the practices of the Palestinian people. They've been farming the land for centuries from the time of Anbiya alayhimu salatu wasalam. But give us some historical background and why agriculture and which plants and which crops, for example, are the most important ones in Palestine today.
Luqman, Palestine is part of the Fertile Crescent around from Iraq to Syria and to Palestine. So it used to be the nativity of agriculture in the world. And the agriculture sector used to be a main factor, the main income for Palestinians. But it is not like this anymore after the occupation, the Israeli occupation of the Palestinian land. Palestine is considered the soil in Palestine, and the water is available, and the weather also in Palestine is very good for farming, because Palestine, we have like desert, we have mountains and snow, and we have the shore area, which means that the weather, the variety of the climate is very essential for farming.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to be Palestinians. I mean, we used to be good farmers. And the farming used to be in the past as major factor of income for Palestinian people. But the Israeli occupation, this is not the case now, because we are turning to be more laborer workers who works in Israel, and depending on the Israeli market in our daily life. I mean, to generate money, to make money, and people are more and more forced to abandon the land because of the Israeli policies. When it comes to the water issue, when it comes to the political and restrictions and security restrictions imposed on Palestinians. The main goal of all the struggle, of all the conflict, is that the Israelis want to maintain the land and to get rid of the Palestinian people, which means that all the policies they are enacting are aiming at pushing out the Palestinians and annexing the land and the war. So Palestinians are now depending on the Israeli market to make living.
So, Farid, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that in the past the Palestinians were self-sufficient, living off the land, but now they are laborers in Israel because the occupation has taken away the farms from the Palestinian people, or have they annexed the farms, or what's been happening to the agricultural land?
It is more, yes, this is the conclusion, but it is more than annexing the land and the farms. This is part of the problem. But it is more like a comprehensive policies are taken by Israel to make it very difficult for the Palestinian farmers to make living. I mean, they are doing their best to make the Palestinian farmers' life as miserable as they can. I mean, now in Palestine, if you are doing farming, if you like depending on farming to make living, that will not work because you will not be able to earn money out of farming. The idea is that the Israeli policies are designed in a way to push the Palestinian farmers to be out of the farms, working in the Israeli market, and at the same time depending on the Israeli farmers to consume our main products. So in this way, we became more and more dependent on the Israeli market. I mean, for labor, and depending on the Israeli production and vegetables, all the manufacturing things. So the idea, and the most important thing is to abandon the land. And then there is a British law from the British mandate, it was enacted in 1936, I think. This law says if the land is not used or planted with trees for 10 years, it means that it is like no man land. This land becomes by law. It becomes the state land. I mean, the state can come, which in this case Israel, they can come and take over the land, and they deprive the owners of this land, even if they have the documents proving that they own the land. If they don't use it for 10 years, it means that they will be losing the land. So this policy is doing three things: depriving, making the Palestinians depending on the Israeli market to make living, depending on the Israeli products to make living, to eat and to consume. And the most important thing is to leave the land, and then they can take it over by law. This law was enacted, I think, during the British mandate, and they are still using it until.
Farid, in South Africa, we sometimes find products in our supermarkets that are actually from Palestine or from even Israeli annexed, territory, the occupied territories, and those products are seen as high quality products. I'm talking about your fruits. I'm talking about your dates. I'm talking about your zaytun. I'm talking about various products that are coming out of the land from. What are those products that are traditionally planted and cultivated and used by the Palestinian farmers?
Yes, I doubt that all the dates and olives that you have maybe in South Africa are Palestinians. I think part of it is coming from settlements. And
yes, it's coming from the occupied territories. That's why we have the problem here where we are saying we must boycott those products. But the quality of the product, if you compare it with any other product, it's superior. It's much better.
Yeah, exactly. Because Palestine is, we are Mediterranean area, which means it's the best place to plant olive trees, for example, almonds, figs. Also because we have like desert, we have the Jordan Valley, which is very hot. It's like desert and desert weather. It's very hot and lots of water, so it's the best place to plant dates and palm trees. So Palestine is considered as one of the major countries or territories that are producing olive oil, the best olive oil I think in the world, and also the dates. Now the dates manufacture and is becoming like a major plant, a major product in the Palestinian territories, and some of these dates and olives are outside Palestine. But I think at the same time Israel um, is using the solidarity towards Palestinians, and sometimes they are forging the origin of the dates, which is being sold in the markets, in supermarkets in South Africa and in Europe. They try to say that this date is coming from the Palestinian territories or from the Jordan Valley, but actually it's coming from settlements. It is not produced by Palestinians. So I think for people who care about this, they should investigate and make sure that the dates that they are buying from the supermarket are Palestinian ones, not Israeli ones.
That's very important. If you've just joined us, we're speaking to Farid Taamallah. Farid Taamallah, he is a Palestinian journalist based in Qira, and he's talking to us about the Palestinian agricultural industry and how it has been eroded through the occupation, and how Palestinian farmers are now dependent on jobs from Israel. They are dependent. They're deprived of making a livelihood, and of course, how they are losing the land. And Farid, what type of activism are people like yourselves and Palestinians doing to ensure that the Israelis do not succeed in their plan to push the farmers off their land, to get them, dependent on Israeli farm jobs and so on?
Yeah, it is like there is an Arabic proverb says to light up a candle is better that clears the darkness. So what we are trying to do is to do very small things, but in the right direction. So what we are doing is to make the agriculture, the farming, a profitable. It makes money for the farmers, the Palestinian farmers. So we need to tell him like just principles to say that you should keep the land. No, we try to do the farming as a profitable act, which means if you are a farmer, you are defending the land, yes, but you are making money at the same time to feed your family and to make living. So what we are doing is we organize something we call Souk al-Fallahin in Arabic, which means farmers market in English. This way, we try to provide the farmer a very good price for his product instead of selling it to a third party or traders. Merchants. We bring the farmers to the countryside, to the city, and then we will be able to sell their vegetables and fruits directly to the consumers. And also, we are caring not only about the commercial side of the whole process, but also we try to encourage the farmers to tell their story, to tell the story of production, to tell their stories, to exchange the knowledge and the conversation and the talks about the environment, the whole context of farming in the countryside, because the Israelis are targeting the countryside because there is lots of land, empty land. They try to take it. So what we are doing is to help the farmer to sell his product in a good price in the city, and to involve with the buyers, the consumers, and talk to them about the problems that he's facing and the challenges the farmers are facing in area C, and which means the countryside. This is one of the main activities that we are doing. We also try to attract more and more young people to do farming and to make the farming as their job. And now in Palestine, in Ramallah area where I live, we are dozens of Palestinian new farms. I mean, young people, most likely they are coming from the universities. I mean, they are well educated. They are going to work in the land and to invest in farming projects in order to retain the land and to retain and to restore our self-sufficiency of products. And I think this is successful now. I see as someone who is interested in farming, I see more and more young people are joining this movement of that people are abandoning the cities and they are going back to the lands in the countryside and they are producing. I know at least at least 20 or 15 to 20 new farms were established the last 2 years during the Corona pandemic in the Ramallah area. And all these 15 farms are run by young people. Young people, necessarily that they are studying agriculture, but they are working in agriculture. I mean, they are producing food, producing vegetables, and they are producing fruits for they sell in the farmer market. So what we do is to encourage more and more people to go back to the land, to fix their land, and to start regain our sovereignty on our food and our water resources. By the way, the water is one of the major problems that the farmers here in Palestine are facing. Not because we are there is like a scarcity of water. The water is available, but it is not distributed. I mean, the Israelis are consuming like 4 or 5 double per capita more than Palestinians consume. I mean, the water is available. There is no shortage of water, but the water is allocated for the Israelis. I mean, for the Jewish settlers. For example, I'll give you some numbers. In the settlement, the Palestinians consume 375 million cubic meters every year in the Palestinian countryside, while settlers who live in this area, the same area, consume 2,346. Again, Palestinians consume 375 million cubic meters, while settlers consume 2,346 cubic meters of water every year. And at the same time, settlers are like 20% of the number of Palestinians when it comes to population. I mean, if you compare it to per capita, there is a huge difference in the consumption of Palestinians and the Israelis. And the main victim for this water unjust distribution of water is the farmer, because all the farming process is depending on water. If you have no water, your life will be very difficult. And what they do is they are stealing us our water. I mean, they pump the water, they steal the water from our lands, and they sell it to the Palestinians at a very high price. We pay 3 or 4 doubles of the price for water. The difference between settlers and Palestinian farmers in the other.
Yeah.
Very expensive for the Palestinian farmers. The idea behind that, the idea from the Israelis, to make the Palestinian farmer cannot compete with the Israeli farmer. I mean, 1 kilo of Palestinian watermelon, let's say it is cost like 2 shekels. For the Israeli farmer, it costs half shekel. The idea is to make it very difficult for the Palestinian farmers to sell their products. So in this way, what happens usually, Luqman, is that the farmer, he abandoned the land after he farmed his land, but he couldn't make money out of that. So he abandoned the land. He became a worker on the farms in the Israeli side. So he abandoned the land, and the Palestinians were more dependent on the Israeli side of labor and of consumption.
All right, Farid, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all that information. Of course, incredibly important discussion. Palestine is all about agriculture, and I think this discussion has really, put that onto the fore. Everybody thinks about Palestine, of course, in the terms of the occupation and the siege that the Palestinians are under. Yes. Sorry, one more thing.
I want to say something positive.
Okay.
We still have hope. All these difficulties that we are facing doesn't mean that we are desperate or we are defeated. We are still
Yes.
have hope. We are still working in our lands. We are still resisting the occupation. And the more policies they are taking against us, the more we can go and make sure that the land is still cultivated and we are doing our job. We are determined to still to keep our lands and to stay there and to work and to fight for every centimeter of our land.
Absolutely, Farid. Jazakallah khair. And I was just saying before you came in there that farming is incredibly important, and I want to thank you for telling our listeners how important it is in terms of the resistance and in terms of the identity of Palestine. And thank you very much, Farid. May Allah accept. May Allah make it easy for you. And inshallah, we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Assalamu alaikum. Ameen. Allahu akram. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That was our guest this evening, talking to us there on our Ramadan Palestine radio. And of course, that was Farid Taamallah talking to us about the importance of agriculture in Palestinian life and how those 15 to 20 youngsters are doing their best to revive agriculture and making sure that the land does not fall into the wrong hands. Okay, before we go into our next segment, which is with Maulana Yunus Kawanga, here's a very important message. Sentio is an ethically based asset manager that focused on delivering superior risk-adjusted returns for their clients, regardless of market conditions. Now, for more information on the Sharia-compliant investments, please visit the website www.sentiocapital-.com. Sorry, that's www.sentio-capital.com. And start saving towards your investment goals today. Sentio Capital Management, invest for good. Sentio Capital Management is an authorized financial services provider.